Absolum was a strong contender for the many titles covered in our Summer Steam Next Fest compilation of 2025, and when it comes to local or online co-op gameplay that actually works offline rather than relying on live service models like Towerborn or even 33 Immortals, there was simply no competition, especially in this genre that's constantly bouncing back and forth. So you can probably imagine my surprise when I learned that it was primarily a single-player experience with co-op as an optional feature in a diverse world filled to the brim with not only different playable characters, but a ton of skills, abilities, modifiers, replay value, and on top of it all, secrets. So let's start off on a good note. Absolum is easily one of the best co-op games released this year, and if you're not currently playing it, then you're definitely missing out. The amount of build depth through the combo effects, the layered meta progression, and the freedom to either challenge yourself or tone things down makes it easily stand out. It's packed to the brim with quality of life features that so many other games in this genre tend to miss out on. So if you've been on the fence about whether Absolum is worth sitting down with alone or alongside a friend, or even a random stranger online, then stick around as we go over what to expect, what makes it work so well, and why it's a game that I consider to be the most polished co-op experience of this year. Now, no matter how good a game is, there's always something that can always be improved on. And in Absolum's case, there's really only one issue that's worth mentioning: the multiplayer functionality. The matchmaking is set to global, so you cannot control who you join or who hosts unless you specifically invite a friend. That means you might end up in a lobby with 300 ping or even 300,000 ping. Constantly hopping between sessions until you find a stable one can slowly become tedious. Not to mention the sudden disconnects, though thankfully this does not affect anything and simply resets the current instance, reverting back to your save game progression. Though I didn't see this as a deal breaker, in fact, it has a surprisingly smart system once you understand it. Even though you can join anybody and everyone, you don't have to worry about spoilers, because if a late game player joins your session, they will be synced to your progression, not the other way around, though that can once again be seen as either a good thing or a bad thing. If you're trying to complete a specific quest or unlock secret boss fights, locations, and you need some help, you'll have to do that alone, as joining a host focused on earlier content can without a doubt restrict you, as you then are tasked with babysitting them with your endgame progression unlocked. Helping players is not a bad thing. It's just frustrating when you're ready to move forward, but the session that you're in is set on showcasing the previous areas to new players who might be going down a very shaky path. This is why I feel like there should be at least some filters. Still, that's part of what keeps Absolum so interesting. Every run feels different, be it old or new, and through each encounter with the new unique modifiers based on your current world tiers and multi-branching paths, it makes every single playthrough stand out. So live a little and embrace the diversity. You might be wondering what exactly makes Absolum feel so good. Well, for starters, Mick Gordon worked on one of the boss themes, so that alone should perk up a few ears. Add in some lesser known but legendary composers like Motoi Sakuraba, known for his work on favorites like Star Ocean, and you've got yourself a varied OST that goes hard. The music doesn't just sit in the background, it drives every fight, fueling that constant rush of adrenaline that never lets up. Then there are these boss fight sequences in the endgame, pulling off Guilty Gear scene transitions as you smash enemies through entire arenas. It's wild, it's stylish, and also relentless, as it's once again backed up by the OST. Yet despite all of this chaos, Absolum stays accessible with a clean UI and controls that are intuitive, with a combat system that gives you an incredible amount of freedom to experiment with each and every build. Each new run unlocks more common, rare, and epic gear, encouraging you to keep mixing builds and pushing your limits as each and every future run continues to shape with different events. But the biggest standout feature here would have to be the frame-by-frame animations, because nothing here was skipped out on. Every motion feels handcrafted and fluid. This is because full animation always outshines choppy or artificial movement. Your attacks have real weight behind them, and every hit feels earned when your combos and effects connect in sync alongside your ally. It's nothing short of perfection, with how responsive and satisfying it feels, while also not sacrificing your immersion. Being a purely hack-and-slash side-scroller designed perfectly for both solo and co-op play, you can jump in either alone or bring a friend, as we already mentioned. And either way, it always delivers on the action. Communication in this game is limited to 4 simple emotes: thumbs up, thumbs down, point, and stop. But you don't really need more than that. The goal here isn't purely on coordination or tactics, it's the mayhem. You and your partner will tear through enemies left and right, chaining skills together for huge combo effects while carving a path towards the next elite, secret, or boss as you fight to stop Azra and his time manipulation abilities from taking over the world. You start with two characters in the beginning, Galandra, a knight who excels at parrying with the right build but can also feel a bit sluggish, and also Carl, a powerhouse dwarf who can pummel enemies with his fists, toss them around the arena, or even off cliffs. Though it's important to note that every character can perform these actions, but each has strengths that make certain approaches more effective for them specifically. After defeating the first boss and completing side missions, you unlock Cider, my personal favorite thanks to her rogue agility and finesse, and of course Braum, a mage-style character with his own powerful skills that require meeting specific prerequisites to unlock. Meta progression rewards your continued play, and with 4 characters, there's 4 times the farming needed to unlock all abilities to try each and every build. Each playable character has 9 unique special moves and over 50 relics to mix and match. These combinations drastically alter your combos, damage output, and utility, giving you endless ways to experiment and refine your approach. What's more is the late game gameplay, because if you want to become a god, and you've played long enough and unlocked specific builds but you do not want the roguelike elements, you can simply purchase the abilities with your stored up currency and start a run with an insane power spike alongside a specific combo set in mind, which is amazing. This is one of the many different quality of life features that were added into the game. Now, the gameplay itself revolves around moving through multi-branching zones within arenas that offer random relic drops. And there are no confirmations when entering new areas, so whoever moves first pulls the other along. And each run evolves with your progression, as the NPCs remember your previous actions, blocking routes or triggering story events, keeping every playthrough fresh and unpredictable when your routes open and close sporadically, where you never know what's going to happen next. Each enemy has their own set of skills and modifiers. Red glowing attacks cannot be deflected with a dash, but a perfectly timed dash can negate normal strikes of damage. What makes the game more engaging is the use of a heavy parry with your heavy attack that can break their red strike guard and score critical hits for a good timed parry, which rewards skilled players. And because each character has a different heavy move and enemies vary in difficulty to hit, it forces you to adjust your timing and strategy constantly with their invincibility frames after they have taken too much damage and have it being launched into the air. There's just so much meat here to dig into. After enough fights, you'll face the elite enemies and eventually the zone's boss. I really don't want to spoil too much, as discovering these moments firsthand for yourself is part of the thrill and reward, so good luck. What's left to say? Aside from the multiplayer progression restriction and the rare chance of a bug that could rewrite your progress when you return to your own save file, Absolum is worth every penny. You're looking at a solid minimum of 15 hours to tackle the final boss and explore most of the main content and secrets. How much more you can get out of it depends on how far you want to push the experience solo or co-op within this beat-em-up roguelite world. For me, it was an absolute blast from start to finish, and I can only imagine how much more fun it would be to play with voice comms while chilling with a best friend. So do be sure to check it out when you have the time, as it really is a great game that's constantly on the back of my mind, with me eagerly wanting to find the time to jump back in and to help other players.